Hey guys, it's Kelso, aka k.l.graywill, your favorite world-building gremlin neurosciences creator of the comic. Okay, no intro bit today. Probably none of you even noticed, but I have been uploading weekly since I started this channel, and I did not last week for reasons I will get into in today's little creator chat, which is going to be about letting go of your story. So, strap in for an especially vulnerable video today. Will I make myself cry talking about this? Maybe. Stay tuned. Alright, story time. So, there was one night a couple years ago, I remember it very clearly. My friend and I were driving back from the beach, and I hate beaches, but I wanted to go one more time, get sunburned, get all the coarse and rough sand everywhere that I don't want sand, because I was about to move to the UK, where there are mostly only shit beaches. So, it was just like a very sentimental time, like I'm leaving America, and I remember telling my friend, and this is the first time I told anyone this, I was like, I have this massive story in my head, and maybe one day I'm gonna try to write it, and if I ever do, would you read it? And he was like, yeah, of course. But when I tell you, I never thought that I would actually do it. I never thought that I would have the time or the energy to do it justice. But here we are now, today, in a video where I'm just past like my 100th day of releasing the story, so now called 85 Unseen, essentially as a serialized graphic novel. And to get to that point, I had to do, and am still actively trying to do, the hardest thing I've ever done as a creator, which is let go of it. I realize that probably sounds depressing, so let me clarify. I'm not giving up on my story, nor am I encouraging anyone else to. No, I'm talking about a special kind of letting go, the kind of letting go that required, honestly, a lot of honesty with myself for me to be able to do. Now, all artists and storytellers would probably agree that there are some aspects of letting go that it's involved in whenever you put your work into the world. And even in my discipline, as a cognitive scientist who studies art, we are constantly talking about what art even is. And in that conversation, this idea that the audience, the way that they respond to an artwork, regardless of the artist's intentions, is part of shaping what art is. And we all experience this, right, in varying capacities and to varying extents depending on the kind of content that we put out there. I am sure it pretty much goes without saying that sharing a piece of art or creative work, no matter how small, is like sharing a part of yourself. But I hadn't really spent a lot of time before reflecting on how my relationship with my own work, with my story, 85 Unseen, would change with me creating and sharing it as a webcomic. And I've shared a lot of my creative works with the public, both artworks and comics, which I've had showcased in galleries, at least 5 or 6 of which were solo galleries, right? So things that contained my work and only my work. So it's not like I'm a stranger to this concept, this idea of your work entering the shared space of you and your audience. But there's something really different that happened with 85 Unseen, and it took me a while to figure out what that was, and when it hit me all at once, like a sack of bricks. Okay, so in the past, my creative process has always been cathartic. Like, every portrait that I've made was an act of love to the person that I drew. Every landscape was my way of expressing beauty when I felt trapped in an ugly world. And every comic was a way of trying to communicate something to people. And it's not that I'm not trying to do any of those things with 85 Unseen. I am. But that story is also my refuge. Now, I am not the first, nor will I be the last creator to talk about mental illness, and maybe one day I will do another video on that, but at least what I can say for now is that the story and world of 85 Unseen is something that got me through some very difficult times in my life over the course of the last decade. And believe me when I say that I need my story more than anyone else does. And maybe I should say needed, past tense, because I hope that one day someone needs 85 Unseen the way that I needed it, and countless other stories that I needed growing up. But I can't need it forever. And for a really long time, 85 Unseen was my retreat. Any other maladaptive daydreamers listening? Maybe? I hope so, because pretty much any chance that I had growing up to not be in this world, bam, instantly I'm out of it. I'm in my other world. That's where my mind was wandering to pretty much by default. So for those of us with very active imaginations, like, you get it. Being an artist also compounded this problem for me, I think, because I actually had the power to turn all of the things that I imagined into tangible things. And I did this a lot, and I still do this. Like in this episode that I'm working on for this video, this is the remastered version of the prologue for 85 Unseen. And there's a scene where Divim and his mother are in Avabu at their home, and his home is based on this landscape painting that I did in 2018? Here, I'll put the picture on the screen. So these pieces were for an exhibit. The one that I'm talking about is on the left. There's even his little home there if you look closely, and this is what inspired the version that we see in the comic. So, I mean, basically what I'm getting at here is that every part of the story and this world is very personal to me and very, very close to me. And I realized at some point that I really screwed up my relationship to my story because it changed permanently when I decided to share it as a webcomic. And in a way, this was intentional, right? I had spent so much time thinking about and living in this story that I was like, you're never gonna get out of it unless you turn it into something real. You're just gonna go in circles in your head forever, and the only way to break out of that is to make the story. Take it out of your head and bring the story into this world so that you can also start fully living in this world, not that one. So I did that. I'm making the story. But I realized as I started releasing content that, I can't crawl back into this thing anymore for refuge. It's no longer just my story or my world. It's 85 Unseen. It's the sci-fi fantasy adventure that you can read on webtoons and tapas. It evolved into this other new and beautiful thing, but it became something that wasn't fully mine anymore. So I kind of removed my safety net, and every time I release a new episode, I kind of give away another piece of it, until eventually it will have all left my brain, and it will exist on the page as a comic. And that is equally terrifying and exciting, because as hard as it is for me to pull the rug out under my feet like that, seeing it slowly come together is really exciting. Seeing this story that I am deeply connected to morph into something that one day might carry meaning to someone else, that's really special. This is also why I struggle with this idea of separating the art from the artist, especially with narrative work, because I am smattered all over 85 Unseen. Like, everything in 85 Unseen. My main cast's flaws and character arcs, their relationships to each other, to their environment, to their ancestors, even themes like collectivity and interconnectedness that underlie my magic system, gathering, or my languages and how they're passed through communities. It's all a reflection of my beliefs and values, because that's what stories are for. They help us make sense of this world, and by creating stories, we're communicating to someone else how we see and uniquely make sense of the world. And I would never trade that, even if it does mean that I have to give up a part of my inner world in order to bring this into reality. So, I don't know, if you have a story and that scares you, maybe it's not time to share yours yet, and that's okay. Sometimes I think I should have held on to mine just a little bit longer, that I needed it just a little bit longer as a refuge, but then there is never really a good time for anything. Sometimes you just have to start So if you do anything for your story, especially if it's one that you care a lot about and that you're really attached to, the best thing you can do for it is to let it go. And what happened for me was I set out with the intention of creating 85 Unseen and got wrapped up in doing all this other stuff on social media, including YouTube. And when I felt burnt out and tired, it was really hard for me to retreat into that world for comfort, because now when I think about it, I'm not just exploring this world, I'm writing 85 Unseen and I can't go back. I have to care for myself in other ways now. So I decided to take it easy with the social media stuff, which is why I'm switching to bi-weekly uploads for YouTube for now, and trying not to obsess over growth. Anyway, that's all for today, guys. Many thanks to my patrons, and I'll catch you on the flip side.